Good evening, my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy, coming to you live from Applewood Station in Denver, Colorado, where it is about right at freezing. Just like smack on freezing right there. Just freeze everything. Um, anyway, hey, how you doing out there? And low cheeks. How you doing, cheeks? So, I am following a thesis. I have a theory, and I am chasing it down even as we speak. So, here we go with a whole bunch of anthropology theory. I hope this is not too boring. So I am following a theory that so there's this thing called the Dunbar number. The Dunbar number says that each of us has really no more than 150 connections, people we actually can connect with, know who they are, and that kind of thing. And it's like these are the people whom you call friends, acquaintances. You know them by name, probably. You likely know where they are, who they are, kind of stuff. We're not talking about people you know really, really well. We're just talking about the people you interact with. It's called the Dunbar number, and he says it's 150. And that's pretty much the maximum that our brains can kind of comprehend. And he said, so I went ahead and thought about that, and I said, well, okay, if you take that 150 and you multiply it by 150, so that each 150 person has 150 friends, where does that land you? Right? And that was an interesting question, because then I started looking at it, and it lands us with 22,500 people. So if you have 100, and if you can, 6 degrees of separation, that kind of thing, right? If you start playing the game to 2 degrees of separation, let's just say, 2 degrees of separation puts you at 22,500. I'm kind of looking around to see what cities in antiquity had a population of 22,000. And what it's looking like is, until 3300 BC, no city out there had more than 10,000. So there were no encampments or groups of people or anything like that who broke the 22,500. The reason I'm looking at this is this: if you and I are buddies, and I see somebody I've never met before, and you recognize that person, you can say, oh, that's Bob. We know Bob. Bob's okay. And okay, Bob's okay. But at some point, you and I will look at somebody and say, I don't know who that is. And it'll become difficult for us to maintain sort of a web of connection, because there'll be these broken pieces of that web where people on one side and the other just don't quite mesh. And that is this magic number where we sort of tip over. At that point in time, it starts to become, who is that guy? Do you know him? I don't know him. I've never seen him around here before. Have you? And then it starts becoming, you think he's going to try to break into my house? I think he's going to try to break in. Maybe we should do something before he does that, like get him arrested or something. And you start to have that separation, that distance. Because the truth is, the one way to solve almost any war is to humanize the victims of the war, right? So once the reverse is true. Once you dehumanize somebody, it's easy to go to war with them. Yeah, I don't know if he's, of the same group as us. Maybe he doesn't even speak the same language. Maybe he speaks some other language. That's weird, isn't it? So you kind of see how that's kind of my theory here. What's that line? And is there a logical line? So I'm trying to see if the cities of antiquity bear up to this theory. Is there a mythical line where a city's population doesn't break 22.5? And if so, do we have like effectively things holding down at lower than 22.5, which I think is the maximum you could probably expect? This is what I'm kind of looking into. Because now we've got so Uruk in Iraq was at 40,000. By 2800, it was at 80,000. But then it was wiped out, right? So by 2500, then it becomes Lagash, which is east of Uruk by about 22 kilometers. So, yeah, most people have been hearing about the Dunbar Law, or the Dunbar Rule, or the Dunbar Number, whichever way you want to call it. I'm curious if it's applicable to anthropology. Because now, at 2500 BC, the largest city is Lagash at 60,000, and then it falls back down to Nippur at 20,000. Now we're back at that magic number again. And this is during a time where there's a diaspora. So the population of Uruk is spreading upward through the Tigris and the Euphrates. So the question really then is, did people say, hey, 22,500 is too much. We're over it. Then we bring everything back up again, and then we hit 100,000 at 2100 BC. And that's Ur. And that's Sumerian. At this point in time, we've got Akkadians and Sumerians, and this is a completely different culture, right? So then we move through to Memphis. Memphis then becomes the next big city at 2000 BC with 40,000 people. Okay, so it's 60,000 for Memphis, 75,000 for Uruk and Thebes. And then by 1200, we've got 80,000 in Babylon. And then by 1000 BC, we get 35,000 in Qi, China. Hey, Brent, I am completely hyper-focusing on my next research paper because I think I have an interesting theory that I'm working on. 150,000 at 500 BC for Babylon. And then at 200 BC, we're at 300,000 in Alexandria. And then by 81, we break 1 million in a city, and that 1 million is Rome. So by the 1st century AD, Rome has risen up. That's the first time that we pass 1 million, though. And even then, Rome starts to fall because it's at 80,000 to 200 AD. And by 400 AD, it's at half the size. It's at 500,000. And then by 600 AD, China is taking over. Yeah, Göbekli Tepe is definitely on my to-do list here to check. You know what? While we're here, though, what was its population? Mm-hmm. So 9,500 to at least 8,000. So it went for 1,500 years. So that's an interesting thought. I'm just trying to see if they've got a population concept for it. Hey, Max. Long time no see, my friend. You still hanging out in the land of pickup trucks and yahoos? Yeah, the thing in Red State. We were just talking about this too. And Jericho's a little later than where I'm looking. So the hypothesis I'm testing is that there is a line at a population of 22,500. At that line, above that line, you have to have patriotism or a state imposed something because people start losing connection to one another. There's a number out there called the Dunbar number. It says that each and every one of us holds about 150 relationships stably. So we can keep about 150 friends. We could probably recognize the faces of up to 500. But for the most part, so I actually am going off of my archaeology textbook, which is up to date to like last year. So just so you're aware, I'm hitting places that are in realm here. Right. So you get to a certain point and the population starts to deteriorate. You start to lose connection, the intimate connection between people. And so that number is derived because 150 times 150, so you have 150 friends. Those 150 friends have to have 150 friends. If all of you have that, that's 22,500. And so all of you should be able to communicate with one another in some way or another, right? So 2 degrees of separation, as Cheeks had said earlier this evening, 2 degrees of separation. At 2 degrees of separation, you still pretty much know everybody in your city. Maybe not all of them, but at that point, you sort of go, well, I know that guy, I recognize that guy, sort of thing. That guy over there is Bob, you know. Once you pass that line, and by the way, that's the top end line. Once you pass that line, then you need some kind of overriding governance to get people to agree to stay together, right? You no longer are fighting to save Bob over here because you don't know who Bob is and you don't really care that much. Instead, you have to fight to save the flag of our cityness, right? So you change ideals and change concepts. And at that point in time, it's a thought process change between the people. And I'm kind of thinking that there was a mentality bottleneck until this was invented, you know? So until somebody kind of figured this out, it was a little bit more of a bottleneck in population. Like, people couldn't grow past that 22,500 because when they did, they just started fighting each other. You get to the point where well, as I was saying at the beginning of the show, where you're like, that guy over there, have you ever seen him before? No, I've never seen him before. What do you think he's doing here? He's probably up to no good, right? So then you start getting the random arrests and things like that, and then those people get upset, and all of his friends get all up in arms, and now you've got a war. So somewhere you have to start code switching, where you're switching to a code where we all go, here's the secret word. Because then you go, here's Bob over there. Hey, Bob, what's the secret word? And he says, chimpanzees. And you go, okay. I don't know him, but he knows the secret words, so we're okay. You know what I mean? Then that gives a little bit more coherency in a larger group. Right. Those guys are not the ones I'm working on right now, Donald. I'm talking about cities. And when did they pass into states? They're out of my realm of this discussion. Because they were never more than groups of 100. At tops. And so those nomads would not be part of it unless they were part of the city. So that's out of my hypothesis's range. I'm kind of curious. Like, I can see aerial view of the main excavation area. Right. So the problem is I can't get population. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. So this is me working this theory. Kind of looking there. Kind of looking at Gobekli Tepe. Occupied. Yep. Great. We had a freeze out at 80 8,200 BC. No, 6,200 BC. So population average of 5,000 to 7,000. Okay. That's good. That puts us under the low end numbers. Sure. So I'm getting a couple of 5,000 to 7,000 is roughly what it's saying out here. This is a big city too. Nobody knows exactly how far back this goes. Yep. Interesting that one of them was replying and saying that nobody lived there. It was built for religious purposes only. And so the groups of nomads around the area conglomerated in there, but that wasn't from anybody. But now we have an art professor or a history professor in the PhD program. That's somebody I'm more likely to believe. So, oh yeah. Once we got out into the water, yeah, that's probably more true. But I've played Civilization, and that means that I know you have to invent triremes first. Hmm. So this is, I don't know if this is going to help us any going through um, Gobekli Tepe. I feel like that's not helping me. Wow. In 1900, the largest city on the planet was London at 6,600,000. Today, the largest city on the planet is Tokyo at 26,400. 26,400,000. 26 million. 4 times the size of London. Over 4 times the size of London. So, yeah. Oh. I'm looking at Max and going, well, I'm sorry, dude. I actually really liked Civ back in the day. Yeah, I think New York stayed the biggest until 1965 when Tokyo took it over. But that's because there's a little bit of ethnocentrism to our earlier data on things. Jakarta is going to beat Tokyo by the time we hit 2030, though. That's going to be a thing. So, all right. Historical urban community size. Neolithic settlements. None of these guys are hitting a number I'm liking, though. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Houston's in the top 4 for America. Hmm. I'm looking at all of these and kind of going through it, huh? So, Uruk shows up at 4,000 BC with 5,000 people. Right? And then by the time we get into, 2600 BC, Uruk has grown to 80,000. So Uruk definitely is leading the pack in population at this point in time. But there's an explosion past this line. Looks like the first city to pass this line is Uruk in 3400 BC. So my line, I don't know. I don't think the undocumented, no, I guess it depends. At 3400 BC, that's my new magic number, right? Nobody's over 22,500 until 3,400, at which time Uruk passes it at 220 or 20,000. So that means now what I want to look at is what happened in 3,400 BC in Uruk. Right? So, because I'm pretty sure the early period doesn't grow over. This is where it makes a jump, is at 3,500 BCE, right? There's a sharp increase in the total number of communities overall, and several individual centers swell to urban population proportions. Hmm. And here we go. Mesopotamia diverged sharply about 3,500 BCE when the southern polities became the most influential, colonizing Iran and sending small groups into northern Mesopotamia. One strong piece of evidence for social turmoil at this time is the evidence of a huge organized battle at Hammurabi in Syria. So, what's interesting about this is they hit 20,000 people, and somehow their entire politics fell apart. Right? Hmm. 3,400 BCE? I'm not sure about that. I mean, Ur is on the map, but Ur doesn't show up actually as a place until 2,800 BCE, when it's only got 6,000. By then, Uruk is at 80,000 by the time we hit the point where Ur is at 6,000. One bad king, and that's it for the neighborhood. Oh, look, it's Spaceballs. Oh, shit, there goes the planet. Mm-hmm. It's saying that during this time, the rainfall there was pretty substantial, and so people probably flocked there for the great agriculture. But the growth and centralization of the population led to the need for specialized administrative bodies, and that's what I'm saying. We've passed the 25 or 22,500 line. Now you need administration. This bears it out, right? My theory is still kind of falling correctly on this one. Because at this point, when that's his name, Private First Class Philip Asshole. Keep firing, assholes. Oh, man. Spaceballs is a great movie. So, this is that transfer that they were just talking, that my professor was talking about in. It's such a good movie. This is the transfer that my professor is talking about. At this time, the familial relationships or that kinship bond is diminished, and the social stratification starts to begin. So you start getting layers of administration. You get bureaucracy. This is starting to play out. All right. Well, this is starting to be useful. Kind of doubt that. I mean, I'm not going to doubt it totally, but you know, I mean, I would like to see it, but all right. All right. I'm just copying some of this information down to my notes segment here because I've got enough information to reference Dunbar's number. That's been pretty straightforward. So panning this out, no, why would you do that to me? It just returned me to Nowheresville. I have to figure out where I was again. Dang it. There. All right. Drought and famine, yeah. You're not wrong. I'm chasing a specific number, a specific thing, I guess. Kind of looking at our worldview from this point on, the Neolithic period, because we want to be in the very, very early Neolithic period, because we don't However, we also passed that magic number with the city of Talyanki, which passes that number. Hang on real quick. My magic number. When does it pass it? At 3,800. So I'll copy this and cite it. So Talyanki passes it at 3,800. And nobody else really passes it until later when we get suggested to be housing up to 10,000 people in the exceeds 10. The estimate is best based on the author's personal communication with Mikhail Vidiko, Institute of Archaeology, Kiev. The previous estimates by S.I. Crutzen for Maidenets and Talyanki are 8,000 and 14,000, respectively. So they're saying that they're not quite sure whether they're, I don't know, that seems like it's going 10,000 to 46,000. So these may be passing that line. I mean, I'll put it in here and quote it because I'm just kind of looking these things up. This is 100 years later, so I'm going to actually cite the reference on here, which is saying, well, maybe. I mean, it could be. So I'm pasting in that. I have a ton of notes now. So then the next people to pass that number, that magic number, is going to be Uruk, who passes it at 3,400 BCE. So that's our next So we need to come up with enough sampling that it's testable, right? So it's kind of, oh yeah, I can see that. And Memphis passes it in 3,100. And the idea is if there is a significant event that occurs at each of these cities at this point in time when they pass this magical number, then this actually starts to tell me a little bit of what's going on here, right? Because at this point in time, Telbarak is also passing this number. So and Shahiri Sokta, I guess. Start getting better at these names. And this really is Hey, Patsy. How are you doing tonight? Then there's these cities that just materialize with 40,000 people in them. I don't know if that's going to tell me anything that I'm looking for. I think we can kind of look to see. Well, yes and no. I mean, part of this is that's part of my question on this one, which is, did they branch? Did they separate? Is there something? Did a significant event happen to pull these cities apart, or make them separate up, or anything? Like, Kish just shows up in 2800 with no previous anything. There's like nothing out there. So it's like really funny how that's like, well, there's that. So yeah, okay. So now let's look at a few of these guys. Let's just start going down the list and seeing what happens with all of these. So we'll start with Maidenettes, because it's the first one and it's in Ukraine. Okay. So the thing is that Maidenettes is an existing town, and what's underneath it is another city, and they've gotten a good picture of that city underneath it through oh, there you go. That's cool. Great aunt. I don't know. I think you're a pretty great aunt by already. I don't think you need to have a kid to know that. Just saying. So there's clearly a city underneath here, which is interesting. There's a big city underneath here too. Here, let me show you guys. right? Look at this. This is the city underneath Maidenets. All right. Look at that. That's a huge city. This is from ground penetrating radar. It's got kind of another picture here, which looks like this. There's that same. There's obviously a center city, an outside city. Yeah, it's very well organized. All right. Hard to tell. When dealing with this, it's really hard to tell. We're talking about like the So, all right. Well, okay. So we probably won't get a lot. Oh, there's a reconstruction of the city. That's kind of cool. Mer. Very small. Small picture. So, yep. Anyway, probably won't get. We're not going to get a lot of information out of Maidenets. That's not going to help us any. Okay. So we don't have that very good, but let's look at Talianki. Because that was Maidenets. Also from these same guys. It's another large city in the middle of fields. Yeah. The largest known settlement in Neolithic Europe. The settlement built on a bluff between the Talianka River and a smaller stream was made up of ovular concentric rows of interconnected buildings. They were built on top of older Tripilian settlements. Infrared aerial photography survey carried out in the 1970s by a Ukrainian pilot in his spare time. Just had nothing better to do. Yeah. And looking at the reconstruction on that, it had this open area in the middle, probably for, whatever, horseback riding or stuff. I don't know. Who knows? It says could have been occupied by over 15,000. That's still below my number, though. So this isn't helping me any. This didn't help my numbers. So both of these guys are kind of out of this line. So let's check in on Memphis. Yep. Memphis. All right. So we're looking at, when did Memphis pass that number? 3100. So let's look at 3100 BCE. Middle Kingdom. So that's before, or that's after that time, because I'm looking at 3100 BCE. Let's go for history. Yep, this is my homework. I'm writing another paper, but I have a theory that I'm kind of working with here that I'm kind of curious as to whether this pans out. When's the early dynastic period? Interesting. The upper and lower dynasties of Egypt were unified in 3150. So again, we have a large event that occurs at this when Memphis hits a certain size. When it passes my line, but that seems like an external thing. It doesn't seem like that's internal. Yes, this is 18th dynasty. So nothing really big has, we've got no information of anything happening here. Say that anything occurred necessarily in this area. First dynasty is later. All of this is later. And this is all later. So we don't have any information on what Memphis was doing around 3100. Let's see what Telbrack says. We've got a lot of information. Something's happening in Uruk, so that should be at least interesting. This is interesting because I think this is a site that my professors worked on, which will either endear me to my professor or make my professor aggravated with me because I'm talking about things that, hey there, Jackson. We are looking up Telbrack. So the city shrank in size at the beginning of the 3rd millennium BC. Again, it hit the line at third millennia. So 3100 BCE. And that's what it's saying here, is it shrank right after 3100 BC. at the end of the Uruk period. Before expanding again around 2600 BC. Fascinating. Hey, Patsy, what's going on? Can you not hear me? Oh, you're helloing each other. I get you now. I'm following. Look at me catching on. So there was a shrinking of size at that point. So it hits my 22,500 line and then shrinks back down. But nothing dramatic happens. They just pull it back down under that time. So somebody's badooping me. I hear the badoopy, but I don't see the badoopy. Oh, I see the badoopy now. Hey there, hi there. Jackson's joining me. In theory. If Jackson can make all the buttons work. We'll have to see. In the meantime, I will continue to look through here and go, And I will copy that. No, that's fine. You're good. I understand now. Oh, I see your screen now. I can hear you even.
Yay. Wow.
All of this is working and everything. Look at you.
Damn.
Right?
Like, yeah.
You're working.
Wow.
Look at us doing the right thing.
Oh, you're good, Patsy. I literally just joined, so you're good. Like, our Crumbs is fine. Jackson's fine. It's all good. No worries. Not working on anything too fancy today, but I'm doing some scripting, writing stuff. So.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sitting here writing stuff too, so I can't imagine I'm exciting either. But at least we're getting our work done.
Yeah, I've been like delaying editing the script that I made for chapter 1, because now that I've like started drawing it, it's really different from what I actually ended up with. Mm-hmm. Now I need to like go back and edit it, and that way because I write on my phone at night, which I don't know is not the best thing to do, but like. I like sitting there huddled up under my blankets with just my phone, and I can like just like put my ideas out.
It's actually kind of cool. I mean, I can't do it, but
yeah,
I just that sounds cool to me.
Yeah, well, I have two different scripting documents, so let's see. I have this one, which is sort of like my idea doc. I just like spit stuff at it.
Right.
So whoops. Oh, I forgot I've got my dark mode on. So I'll just throw stuff at this one, kind of like what I kind of want. And then in this document, I can actually organize it better and check it against my plot structure.
Right.
Make sure it actually matches. So yeah.
That is such a Jackson document. Look at that.
All organized and color-coded and everything.
Color-coded, everything. Such a freaking Jackson. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You are who you are. I appreciate that.
It's really funny because like I'm the only one of my coworkers that does that. Like I color code everything, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard for me to look at," and I'm like, "For you, because I'm a visual person." I need to see like color. It helps me really quickly know exactly what I'm looking for, so I don't waste time looking for it.
Yeah. So
let's see.
I'm concentrating on phase 7.
Oh, nice, Patsy. Yeah, I do art and writing. I could probably change my thing to actually show you some of the pages I have. Let me go in here and change this window, and I'll show you some of the artwork I've got. So here's the Clip Studio. Here's some of the pages that I have, if Clip Studio wants to cooperate with me. There it goes. Yep, so here's some of the pages I've been working on. I just realized I can't see anything. There we go. Now I can actually see what you guys are saying. So yeah, here's some of the pages I've been working on. This one I've still got to work on a little bit, but it's getting there. So some of the pages, and then then you can see here's the rough ones, and this is some of the dialogue. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages left to rough out, and here's interesting because this is sort of like my first draft as far as like the visuals go. Like this is like what a first draft looks like. And then I clean it up with like a second sketch draft. And then I can finally start the inking phase. So it's kind of silly I have like 2 sketching phases, but you know, I like having one that I don't have to commit to. It's just, oh, here's my idea, whatever. So yeah.
The concepts of how you do things, though, I mean, that's just, I think, in a way, we all have our different things, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very me thing that I have like 50 million like fail safes before I'm done with anything. It's very me. Or I have to like check things 50 million times.
Right.
Yeah, so the first step is this document. I just spitball my ideas out. And then I put it in here, and then I do the first sketch phase, and then I do the second sketch phase, and then I do my inking and lettering together, and then I do my tones. And then I do my corrections, which are like, when I say corrections, I mean like white lines. And my like going back over everything to double like the final check before I mark it done. I have a thing called Comics Flow. I think I've told you guys about before, and it just helps me organize my projects. For you guys who haven't seen Comics Flow yet, I'll show you.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's not something I'm into, but I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not necessarily OCD. Like, it's definitely not OCD. Like, I can like go out of this process like really easily. It's more like it helps me stay on target, like on time and on track with my projects, because I literally have 3 manga that I'm working on in addition to my full-time job, in addition to my streaming on YouTube. So like I have to manage my time incredibly efficiently. And so having a system that I know works really well, that has like multiple fail safes to help me catch errors and catch mistakes and catch inconsistencies, that's what it's for. Mm-hmm. It's not that like, oh my gosh, like I have to be super perfect. It's like I have multiple editorial steps. And what's cool about it is like my sketching brain is very different than my writing brain. Like, and so like I'm always in a different headspace looking for errors from different perspectives. So yeah, it's a lot. But anyway, what's really cool about this, so this is chapter 1. Chapter 1's due by the end of the month, which is why I'm doing a last minute script check to make sure I like it. This needs to be updated because this is done. This is, yep. So basically you can go in and you can create sort of like different tasks that you need to complete for each page. And since this page is now done, I can mark it as done. And I can go on to the next one, and I can, maybe, there we go. I can mark it as, these were in progress, and now they're done. I can mark these as done. Let's see, and this is page 11. Let me check the status of page 11. Page 11 is done, except for lettering I have to redo. So I'm going to mark that as in progress. And then inks are done and tones are done. So the only thing left on this one's lettering. And then these, let's update this one. I'm currently penciling this one. So thumbs are my first draft of sketching. Pencils are my second draft of sketching. That's exactly where this one is right now. I'm in the process of doing the pencils and lettering. And then this one, thumbs are done. And then, let's see, 14 thumbs are done. And now I'm working on pencils. And this is such a silly little thing. Like, I don't usually do the in progress thing, but I'm just doing it to kind of show you guys how it works. It's really neat. I like it. But what's really neat about it is when you're sort of like managing your project, you can change this at any time. So like if something happens, you can change the date. So let's see, I started this January. Let's see, when did I finish with Isashi-san? I think the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my meeting with him. So in order for me to finish on time, I have to finish 0.7 pages a day. So I have to finish at least half a page a day. In order for me to meet my deadline, which is really easy to do. I can easily ink a page in a night. So that's not going to be a problem. Yep. Or if you want to, you can set. This is really hard to read, so because it's really tiny, even for me. It says set how many pages you want to make per day, so that if you know, I can consistently make say half a page a day. You can set it up by that instead and figure out how long will I need based on this pace.
Right.
So you can do it either way. You can even this column lets you decide which days you want to work. I work every single day on God's Bane. I don't take days off, not usually. So I just have every day selected. Start date, end date, da-da-da. It's really, really neat. And then this little progress bar tells you how many days you have left. So I'm right on track. As long as these lines generally match. I'm a little bit behind schedule, which is fine. I ended up taking 2 days off to kind of rest and whatever because I was sick. I was sick I was sick on Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So it was probably a sinus infection or something, but I'm having really bad tingling in my left hand. I'm not sure why. Soup, when your body is just starting to wake up and you feel all that tingly electrically, that's how my hand has felt for the last 3 days.
Hey, Patsy, the comic is called God's Bane, and I have a thing where I can bring it up on screen. There you go. It's on the right here. Still says by Cat. We'll fix that someday.
No worries. I ain't worried too much about it. So yeah, my manga is called God's Bane. It's a seinen. So it's well, let me just grab my handy description here. I'll show you. So I have the pilot up still.
I'm I've got the screen already.
Oh, no, you're good.
So that people can write down globalcomics.com.
No, you're good. I'm grabbing the
/God's Bane.
You're good. I'm just grabbing the description because I forgot because I recently changed this. I forgot what I changed the summary to. So my summary is Aros, a devoted healer, tries to resurrect a colleague by sacrificing fellow islanders. Eventually, his double life catches up to him, and his plan to revive her goes horribly wrong. What consequences will he face? So that's what my series is about. It's supernatural murder mystery, a supernatural island version of Dexter. You have your anti-hero main character who is a good guy by day. He's a bad guy by night. He doesn't want to do the thing, but he has to do the thing. And eventually it catches up to him. And his plans go horribly wrong. So it's and there's a murder mystery on top of everything. So I think it's fun. And then as far as the tool, it's called Comics Flow. Comics Flow. And I believe it's free to use. I've been a beta with them for 2.5 years now, and I absolutely love this tool. I have it for like my first few chapters. I don't know if it's because I'm a beta, but I can have 5 projects like live at any given time. So I can track everything and I can track my due dates and stuff. So it's really neat. I like it. So it's pretty handy. It just helps me stay on track, and so I'm 2 days behind where I should be, which is a little sucky, but it's okay. I'll catch up. I've got the whole weekend to catch up, so it'll be one of those weekends where I lock the door, lock myself in, and don't see the light of day.
Right.
For the whole weekend, so I can catch up. Yeah, so I have a very fine-tuned system that's been helping me get my stuff done, and I tested it out on my one-shot, and it worked really well for getting it done really quickly. And so now I'm using it for God's Bane as well. I know a lot of writers hate this kind of structure where they're like, oh, it feels so restrictive, which is fair. It's supposed to snow? Oh, I'm in Tennessee. I don't think it's supposed to snow this weekend. Let me check. I think we're just gonna get rain. We got a lot of rain last weekend.
It's supposed to snow here this weekend? Jeez Louise. So Donald's here, so.
I see that. Let's see.
That wouldn't surprise me because I have a theory that that storms have a 7-day lag here. So if Saturday is the day when it snows, then Saturday is the day that it continues to snow, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, so Saturday's the day. And it's panning out. You're right. Look at that.
Interesting. So, yeah.
Snow tomorrow night all the way through Saturday, as you might imagine.
For me, it says we have rain all day tomorrow, and then a rain-snow mix Friday night into Saturday.
Yeah.
It's let's see, right now, Celsius, put it into Fahrenheit, brain, please. Okay, I know 12 is 50, so 7 must be like 45-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching myself Celsius, so it's hard.
It is hard.
I'm like learning certain checkpoints where I'm like, okay, I know this is roughly this number and this is roughly this number, so ergo, this must be roughly this number.
I gotta find the thread where everybody was going, there's no proof of this theory of yours, guy. I'm gonna post this in there.
Oh man, guy, today in my Japanese class, we went over oh, my brain stopped for a second. Adjectives, like nouns, adjectives as like instead of saying the house is big, it's that big, or it's the big house.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, you know, like with the, you have to conjugate your na form or your na adjectives.
Form and na form of the adjectives, yep.
And of course, I felt dumb because he picked like 2 of like the irregular na adjectives to give us, and I'm like, really, bruh, really? He gave us yume, and then what was the other one? Kirei.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm like sitting there. I'm happy. I'm proud of myself. I've done my homework. And we all say the thing, and I say my sentence which had "you may" in it, and he goes, that's a not adjective, and I'm like,
you may not. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what you talk about, Willis? No, it's not. And like I whip out my dictionary, and I'm like, damn it, it is. So we got to do that today. And then of course we learned about like when to use ga, when to use wa when using the adjectives and nouns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. Why would you use what when it's negative? And he's like, it's for emphasis. And I'm like,
yep.
Okay. So he's basically like, if it's positive, use ga. If it's negative, use wa. That's all you need to know. I'm like, okay. And it's like, we learned also about like audimas versus imas in the sense that like plants aren't living things. And I went, what?
Oh, wait until you get to counters and you have to deal with the fact that rabbits are birds.
I'm not ready for counters. Like we barely made it through dates. Okay, and like Suitachi, what the hell is that?
Yep.
Or Itsuka for 5, and I'm like, what? How the hell is Itsuka 5 when it's written like 1?
Yes, I did know. I did know, Patsy. And thank you.
OMG guy. I got my first Nihongo Jozu. I got Nihongo Jozu'd.
Oh no. Nihongo Jozu ne.
And I was like, bruh.
Right.
We
know what that means. You can't do that. We know what it means.
I'm not dumb. And I was like, I know, is this a test? I'm just gonna say thank you. Because I'm not gonna be the asshole gaijin, so. You can't trick me into being a meanie. Miso, hi. Yeah, well, last night I was meeting with like some of my friends in a voice chat, and they were all speaking Japanese. And when I came in, I'm still a baby, but they're like, oh, Nihongo doesn't it? And I'm like, thanks, guys. They all know I'm taking classes, so like they're like, oh, your Japanese is so much better. Nihongo doesn't.
What you're looking for is Jozu ni natta. It got better. It's getting better.
I should use that one next time.
Because it's like when they say Jozu ne, it's just oh hey, you're really good at that Japanese thing, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds kind of
sounds
condescending.
Yeah, it did sound condescending, and I was like,
it sounds condescending. So it's the same thing when they do the hashi jozu ne, and I'm like,
oh yeah, you
come on,
chopsticks? Wow.
Like, you know that we use chopsticks in America too, right? You know that, right?
So some of us aren't otaku. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but you still go to like Chinese restaurants and stuff, so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I use chopstick. I have my own set of chopsticks that go in their own little container, and that I have my cooking chopsticks because I only have a wok now. That's it. I have my wok, and then I have my little egg pan, the square one. Like that's all I have. Because there's no point in having everything. I can cook mac and cheese in my wok, thank you very much. Like,
that's fair.
And if you use just enough water, like it's the perfect amount for just adding the cheese straight to it.
Right.
Just don't use too much water and you're fine.
Yeah, that whole thing about your Japanese is so. Oh, shut up.
Yeah. Oh man, I also got the other day. I got the. actually, no. This was the first time I ever heard it said this specific way. So talking with this, I'm not gonna say his name. This like really old like comic veteran, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think it would be like really insulting. A Japanese person would be really insulted if you called your stuff manga. And I was like, you think any Japanese person would be insulted that I called my stuff manga? Most of them probably don't give a damn.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would care.
I don't think anyone would care. Like, literally, none of my mangaka friends who are like actual mangaka, like with Jump and stuff, don't give a damn. They don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they call myself manga. Hisashi-san calls myself manga. He calls me a mangaka. Like, you know, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
People are silly.
Mangaka is just a name.
Isn't it technically an occupation because of that last kanji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an occupation. I mean, it's like honyaka or whatever. I mean, you know, kyudoka.
Kyudoka, yeah.
I am definitely kyudoka.
Yeah. Miso, my goodness. What am I feeding you, child? Stinky.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did he hear miso?
Yeah, and then George jumped up and did his little thing. See you in a sec, Patsy.
That's funny.
All right.
Give everyone some miso ASMR.
Yeah.
That nobody asked for.
Well, so I find my my findings are inconclusive at the moment.
Findings for what?
For my paper. I'm going to have to try to find something else to illustrate the point. So I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I have a paper due in archaeology. And I have this theory that there is a mythological line of population. We hit a certain point where people start getting weird with each other, and that, like, up to a certain point, you have pretty much it's pretty easy to self-govern to some degree. But then we hit this mythological point, and all of a sudden you have to have a government put in, and you've got to have bureaucracy, and you've got to have strata and classes and all of these things that just suddenly appear. And so I've been trying to find proof of that. And the number I came up with is based off of this sociologist who has determined that we have about 150 connections that we can maintain at any given point in time in our lives. So
I've heard that.
It's actually pretty high. It's actually panned out. I mean, the people have kind of figured that out. So if you take 150 people and you multiply them by 150, so each one of those 150 people have 150 connections, right? You get about 22,500. So now I'm looking to see, when do cities of antiquity pass the 22,500 line? And what happens to them, right? Well, Memphis didn't seem to change much when it passed that line, but Tel Brak, you can't tell a whole lot about that except that it is a delineation of one of the phases. And then Shahir Sokta burned to the ground when it passed that line. That was interesting. And then changed hands. So Uruk was the capital. And then when it hit that point, the point where the population was that size, the capital switched to to the south. But during that time, it was transferred slowly, So, but what was interesting to me was that starting at 3000 BC, which is right about the time when they hit that point, people started an exodus away from Uruk. They started leaving. So as soon as you hit about 22,000 people, they all started leaving. So there's a diaspora that's going on here. So it's like, it's inconclusive, but tantalizing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the data is inconclusive directly. And there's nothing we can do about Talyankee and Maidenets, because both of those have not been specifically. Anyway, so that's my hypothesis that I'm trying to prove in this paper. And so that's what I'm after here, because I am remarkably. It is snowing. It's snowing, which means I'm going to have to leave in a minute because my roommate parked me out of my garage, and I do not want to go out there and clean my car off. So I'm going to real quickly leave the show for just a second, go downstairs, open the garage, get my car, and put it in the garage. Because he parked me out of it. He parked in the driveway in front of my space in the garage. So I was like, shouldn't be a big problem because it's not like it's going to snow tonight. Har, har, har. It's snowing. I'm like, really? 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 Okay, I'll be right back, guys.
Y'all are stuck with me now. Quick, let's have a party before he gets back. So, how's the weather? How is everyone? Tell me, how are you feeling? How does the weather make you feel? What are your goals for the weekend? What are your plans? Anything fun plans? I'm going to draw like a little gremlin attached to my drawing desk and pretend that I don't exist. At least not to the world. Popcorn and laser pointer to play with George. Oh yeah. It's karaoke time. Karaoke. What song should we sing? Do the Pokemon theme song. I kind of sort of know the words, not really. I want to be the very best. Ba-da-da-da. I'm actually not doing good, but day by day had $900. What? No way. How is a bill? Like, what's it normally? What is it? That's got to be a mistake. That has to be a mistake. What is it normally? That's wild. I have never heard of a $900 bill. Like, the worst my bill has been is like 45. $300? I can't imagine. Well, okay, you probably have a house though. I just have apartments, so. Oh, it's your first real winter? OMG, really? Okay. Pro tip. To save money on your bills, use a space heater, okay? Like, don't try to heat the whole house unless you have a whole family. Then that makes sense. But if it's it's more reasonable to just use a space heater most of the time. That's crazy. I have a tiny little apartment. Like, it's like 220 square foot total. And so I just use a space heater. I have a space heater under my desk. And that's all it is. Just a space heater. It's glorious. I save so much money. Like seriously, like the worst month that we had here, but then again, I mean it's not Colorado. Like my heating bill was like $45. That was the worst month. Now, when I lived in South Dakota and I had to use propane, like I had a couple $100 bill. Not anymore, thank goodness. Donald just was telling us about his $900 electric bill.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, natural gas. Yeah, that explains it.
Yeah, our gas prices are ridiculous.
Yeah.
They've been ridiculous for a while. I'm actually it's getting to the point now where I feel it might be time for me to switch out the water heater for, an electric one on
I've
demand.
just been using space heaters. Saves me tons of money. Even up there in South Dakota, I was able to switch a space heater and it saved me so much money. I mean, it sucks that I'm one person also. I don't have a whole family, so it's a little different when you have a family.
Yeah. But I mean, you do have to keep it warm enough that miso doesn't like freeze to death too. So I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, but I don't like drop it to nothing. I'll maybe put it on like 65 maybe.
That's fair.
Versus like 70 something.
Yeah, right. Patsy's now up high enough that she actually is at an altitude of some sort here. So she actually gets snow now, even though she's in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know where the White Mountains are.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be too far from Powell either.
Yeah, Donald, I'm starting to think that it'll be cost effective to replace my furnace and my water heater. The problem that I've got is the water heater that I have, or I mean the furnace that I have here, is the original furnace for this house. This house was built in 1978. So the furnace is like almost 50 years old and going strong. And I know that the moment I change that furnace out, the next furnace will last 5 years and then cost $12,000 to replace. And that one will last 5 years and then cost $12,000 to replace. You know what I mean? Like, They don't build anything like they used to.
Nope.
The furnace in this house is 50 years old. It's been chugging along. It's still chugging along, doing just fine. And, everybody's doing it's 50. You need to replace it. It's going to die on you. And I'm like, well, I mean, I get that. But that the moment we replace it, that furnace is going to go out every 5 years, like clockwork, so that you can charge me another $12,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't have the $12,000 to just randomly pay everybody. And I hate those things where it's like you have to pay it because otherwise what are you going to do? Freeze to death?
Literally.
I hate that. It's like, we'll make this so that you're forced to do it. So, bothers me. Somebody out here is hanging out with Nightbot. Or maybe Nightbot's just being triggered by the posts on the show. That might be it.
Oh yeah, like maybe every so many comments, maybe.
Well, it's set up to go at every so many comments, but
my furnace was new in 95. My problem is I have no hot water, no working bathroom, no then utilities in the house. Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, weren't they going to rebuild that? I remember us talking about them rebuilding that place at one point in time, Donald, like sometime last year. Seem to remember us having that discussion.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to looking for apartments. That's what I have to start doing now because I recently found out that my move out date is the day that I'm going to be in San Diego. So yeah, that sucks. I'm not going to be here for move out time, and I could move out just a little bit sooner, but then I'd have nowhere for Miso to go, and trying to find an apartment rental that's to start mid-month is really hard. And then you have to worry about prorates, and a lot of places here aren't prorating if you move in mid-month anymore. Which is stupid. They just charge you the whole month. And then so I thought, well, it would probably just be easier if I like move out if I have like a move-in date of July 1st. And so like I've started calling up apartments and stuff, and they're like, oh, don't bother sending in an application until it's about 30 days before move-in. I'm like, are you joking? You want me to wait until 30 days before I have to move in? Are you crazy? Like, yeah, sure, I'm going to stake the fact that I'm going to be homeless or not within 30 days.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and not only that, like, I'm going to have multiple pulls on my credit too, unless I can do them all within a 2-week time period. I'm not worried about me. I don't have any friends, for one. I don't have any IRL friends. Literally, I'm not even joking. I don't have any.
Well, you have me as an IRL friend, just not near you.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like here, there's nowhere for me to put Miso.
Right.
My dad would probably take care of her, but it's more like I have to have time to move. I have to have time to get my stuff in and get my stuff out. You know, like I literally don't want to be doing that. Like literally the same week that I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con because I have to go for work. So like that's not stress that I want. Like plus like the timing of that money wise, I didn't put a deposit down when I moved in. So like I'm gonna get I'm gonna get my butt reamed when I move out. I can already tell. Like you know how landlords are. They will take you for all you're worth when you move out. But if I move out early July, that gives me about 3 weeks to make the apartment as spotless as possible. So, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't ask for an extension. The only option is to move out earlier, and I'm still responsible for the apartment until the 25th, no matter what. So, you know, I'm probably going to end up paying double rent in July because I have to put my deposits down on my new place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting to the point where it's like you can't really just live anymore.
Yeah, so like I'm being really picky about where I apply now because wherever I end up is probably where I'm going to have to be for a really long time. Which sucks because I don't want to stay here longer than I have to.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to try to do this college thing with no student loans, and I've already racked up 10 grand already.
Oof.
In student loans. I mean, like, I'm like, how did I miss it? And it's all because you have to have insurance, and I don't have insurance normally, so they put me on.
Wait, health insurance?
Huh?
Health insurance?
Yeah.
To be a student?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to have health insurance to be a student, and they will cover you with their health insurance, but it costs $1,600 a semester.
Yep, mine did too when I was at Ringling. Same thing.
Yep. And so, I mean, I was kind of glad to have that until I found out that I've got a freaking $500 deductible. Then I was like, that's nice. So I just went to the doctor, of course, and they were like, hey, we took $60 off of your bill. Please pay us $125.
Wow.
I was like, man, well, now I'm not going to go to the doctor. So that didn't help me any.
Yup.
You know, you just made it so that I won't go to the doctor anymore.
Wait, like 500 deductible before they'll help pay for anything?
Yeah, before they'll pay for anything. Yeah.
Jesus. I don't know what mine is. I think mine's 15. Yeah, I think mine's 15. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, you just made it so I won't go to the doctor anymore. Good job. Because I don't have the extra $500. not
Yeah.
lying around. It's
Yeah. But the deductibles are silly because this is like, it's like, what's the point of having insurance then?
yeah,
Like, it's only useful if you have like something horrible happen right away.
right.
And it's like, oh well.
And it's just like, this is so stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, it's silly. I'm really lucky though that like my dental insurance is pretty good because I definitely like I already have to go back to the dentist again, and I'm like, oh, frick. Like I have another cavity I need to fill. I can feel it, and I'm like, the last time I was in the dentist chair, which was like right before Thanksgiving. I think it was like 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Like all he was filling in one of my back teeth. And he's like, well, I don't know if the tooth is salvageable. We have to like clean it out first. You know, basically like gore it out just to see like how bad it is. He's like, if it's bad enough where I have to do a root canal, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, just pull it. So like he cleans it out. He's like, I think it'll be fine. He's like, I can completely fill it if you want, but you'll probably like be cold sensitive your entire life. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. I'd rather not lose another tooth.
Right.
So, because that's my far back molar on the bottom.
Yep.
So I'd rather not lose it if I don't have to. And now it's cold sensitive all the time. And
right.
He went to put in the numbing thing, which was just the like the Q-tip, like before he did the needle. And I just like flinched and started bawling my eyes out. Because I'd been poked and prodded so much last year. I just had a mental breakdown with him doing like the initials. He's like, it's not the needle, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm so done being poked. And I just like, he's like, I'm gonna leave you for 10 minutes and I'll come back after you calm down, okay? And I'm like, okay.
Right.
I was just so done. And I still have to do the same thing on the other side of my mouth, like the bottom back on the opposite side. So I have at least one more tooth I have to do that to. And then I'm done with all of like the big reconstructive fills and stuff. The rest of it is just small cavities, like small little ones that are easy fixes. So I'm like trying to like mentally prepare myself for doing that again. Because I got so sensitive after that, and now like I had the relief of being able to use the other side, and now I won't have that.
Right.
I'm not ready. And I mean, it's painless. It is not painless. The needle that he puts in the very back bottom jaw, oh my gosh. It felt like it took him 6 seconds to stick it all the way in.
Fair.
And I think that was the first time I'd ever cussed him out. I felt so bad because I never cuss at my dentist, and like I cussed him. I was like bleep 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 bleep, and he's like, "Yep, most people do with this one. Don't feel bad."
Yep.
Oh my goodness. 5 minutes.
We're almost at a show. Look at us. We did a good job tonight. Yeah, okay. Here we go. This looks like it too. After the Uruk period between 3200 and 3000 BCE, an abrupt change occurred that, while dramatic, is perhaps better described as a hiatus, because Mesopotamia's cities roared back into prominence within a couple of centuries, but the Uruk colonies in the north were abandoned, and the large cities to the north and the south saw a sharp decrease in population and an increase in the number of small rural settlements. So that means that they left the city all of a sudden. It hits that magic number, hits 25,000 people, and then poof, everybody leaves because there's too many people.
Do you think that's why like big cities stress people out so much?
Maybe.
And why we all have like smaller cities within cities?
Really and that's what the theory is that I'm working on, is that you don't hit patriotism or religion levels or things like that until you pass this line. When you pass this line, it's leaving that family bonding line, so like familial line. Once you pass that line, then you need to put in something else, because no longer can we all fight for Bob over here. Good night, Patsy. See you later. So, and know that I love you. Anyway, just making sure, like, but that's my theory, is that at that point you have to come up with a different thing.
Hi, Patsy.
Like patriotism, you know what I mean? Like, that's a good one, because you're fighting for the king, or you're fighting for our people, or you know what I mean? Like, at that point in time, you're not fighting for Bob over there, because you've gotten to the point where it's too big for you to know whether that's Bob or not. You don't know who those people are over there, but everybody passes through the password. What's the password? Argentina. Okay. And at that point in time, I don't know who you are, but you said the password, so you must be good. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's the hypothesis I'm testing here, and seeing if ancient cities can suss that out, like, how big was Tenochtitlan when it hit a recession or whatever, when they had to put in different things. Was there some large event and in that time on the Yucatan Peninsula that you could see that they hit 22,000 people and then poof, something happened, So I'm going to try to pull up all of these old cities, and I started with Uruk because that's what we're studying at this point in time in class. We're in Mesopotamia in class right now, so that's why I started here, is because I just talked about it today with the professor. We just went over this Mesopotamia, so that's the kind of stuff that I'm.
Sounds legit.
Yep. Anyway, that's my ongoing theory here, is that, and that's what I'm working on. And I'm all excited about it, because I'm like, if I can pan this out, there might be at least a reasonable, logical number out there that makes some sense,
Yeah. Like prime human level.
Right.
Ooh, something's not right here. Oh, no, it's fine. It just looks weird because of the stuff here.
This is another. Yeah, so by the time Cortez shows up in Tenochtitlan, they had 200,000 people. So they're way past the number at that point, by an order of magnitude. So they would have had to have been doing something earlier in Mesoamerica. So this is a different thing, because it was settled by a lot of people. So, like, this is already when because of the way that when this specific city was settled, it was already huge. So that's not probably the best. It's probably not our best one. We'll probably have to go here pretty soon.
You're good whenever.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so yeah, this isn't even in. I'm just breezing through this real quick. See if they got any kind of. Not getting a lot on the population here. Here we are in. Well, I actually don't think I think I'm hitting a. I can get one, and that's all or one city, and that's not what I want. I want more than one city. I agree with you, Donald. I think I'll tackle the Mayan next and see where they are, because I think that the Mayan might be a better choice for the Americas. So I think I will go with them and start poking around. Istanbul? But wasn't that Constantinople? Istanbul, Constantinople, and Istanbul's Constantinople. I don't know. I can't help myself. It's no one's business but the Turks. But apparently it's my business.
Apparently, you're making it your business.
I'm making it my business. All up in my business. All right, guys. I think we are OOH. I think that's probably better that way anyway. I'm starting to sing, and that's not a good sign, you know. That's how you know we're deteriorating here in this show.
Have mercy.
So, thank you for joining me, Jackson.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I like having you on board whenever we do this, because then I can walk away and go move my car.
We definitely were on our best behavior while we were gone. While you were
totally
gone,
did
right,
not
guys?
do anything weird. Totally.
Totally not. No.
I know you guys would have never done anything weird.
Most definitely didn't talk about karaoke at all. Karaoke.
It's very different here than it is there.
Yep. I still, you will not catch me dead saying karaoke.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'll bring this up one more time for those of you guys who want to, find our comics that are out there. All right. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to close up shop then. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you later. And to everybody else out there, thanks for joining me as well. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I should be back on. No, I won't be back on tomorrow morning until 10. So You won't see me until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then I'll only run a 10 to 11 show. And then, of course, tomorrow night's Friday night, so there won't be a night show. But I will see you guys all later. And until then, keep your eyes on the stars. Good night.
Good night.